Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. What's going on, friends and family? I hope everyone is doing well on this fine Friday. It's November 15th, 2024. I hope your week has come to a magnificent close, a successful closure, and that you're ready for a fun weekend, or a relaxing weekend, or a busy weekend. I don't know, whatever you fancy. I hope that you have it. Let's see what we got today. All right, one more cut, and let's get into it. Oh, well, weekend warriors, I say. Oh man, that's funny. 5 of Wands here. It's competition. Could be some confusion. Could be some chaos. Depends. We'll see. We'll get into what other cards are here in a minute, but it's definitely not a peaceful existence here, whether even if it's a not casual, but like harmless competition. There's still some, I don't know, arousal here, arousal of excitement, I guess I could say. Let's see what else we got, because you just never know with the 5 of Wands. Let's see. And then the very opposite, peace. Peace and harmony. Unless this is what's going on inside this house. Because I literally was sitting here like, okay, which side of the table is this on? Because the 4 is before the 5, which, you know, obviously makes sense, right? However, maybe this could be some unrest in a household, or is a disturbance of the peace. There it is. On account of a message or a visitor. A visitor brings a disturbance of the peace. And in this case, it's the Knight of Pentacles, so that's somebody arrives late. Or someone's late arrival or delay creates a disturbance of the peace, whether it be in this household, in this establishment, in some association of sorts, some group of friends. Yeah, because here we have the 4, then we have the 5. So as soon as somebody does get there, or on account of them not getting there, I don't know which one we talking about here, but we have yet another progression with the 6 of Wands. It's a lot of activity, that's for sure. Somebody's bringing something to this house. I keep hearing party, though, in my head. Like, specifically, I heard, when I saw the Knight of Pentacles, I heard, "Don't be tardy to the party," which was the song of one of the housewives in Atlanta. So Atlanta could be significant. I rarely call states out, but hey, Atlanta housewives, that could be significant. So somebody is bringing something, whether this be information, or maybe because they're late bringing something is why some chaos erupts. But I really feel like it's whatever is being carried to this place as to why. And then we got the Queen of Wands here on the bottom. So we got the 4, 5, 6 of Wands. There's some escalation here. And then the Queen. Is the Queen the lady of the house? So somebody comes with as a Knight of Pentacles. But the 6 of Wands, though, which is interesting because you rarely get to see these two back to back, but I usually see, I'll say that, the 6 of Wands as someone that is leaving behind the chaos. So this could be somebody that as soon as some fight or disturbance breaks out, they out of there, or they might even leave before it begins. Like this could be somebody that sees the handwriting on the wall and it's like, nope, I'm out of here. I am not going to be, So, okay, it is the weekend, right? And this officially, we could say is definitely a holiday season, especially now that we're in the middle of November. And I mean, in every store, there's Christmas stuff everywhere. It's been that way since right after Halloween. But so there could be more festivity occurring, especially on the weekends. So this could be maybe a word of caution if there is a pending invitation to a party, to a get together or gathering of some sorts that seems harmless, seems like it for all intents and purposes, it would be expected to be either a good time or just a harmless time, like nothing to necessarily be alarmed about. But in this case, it's given that something suddenly breaks out that is alarming. Because this goes from 4, where everybody's, having a good time celebrating, to suddenly there's like a knockdown, drag out type of brawl here, or at least I mean, if it was swords, then I could say it was an argument. But if 5 of Wands is like fighting in this case, the way that I'm picking it up, and then it could even be like, say you go to like a game night or something, and it starts off as like just a harmless game of spades or taboo or Pictionary or whatever the hell you play, and suddenly it's chairs being thrown across the room, or literally people throwing bowls. Like, I don't know, but anyway, the point is that there could be a delay in someone's attendance. Maybe you might be delayed for good reason, particularly if you get held up from an event. It might be for protective purposes, or to just pretty much keep you out of the way of something that you wouldn't want to be entangled in. And if you perhaps feel the need to leave earlier, you get the sensation that it's time to go, take that nudge. Yeah, like definitely route up out of there with no apologies. Like, all right, y'all, we go ahead on out. Like don't feel no type of ways about it. Because even though this is okay, so this is like the 6, right? But all the wands back behind the 6 are in their own space. Like here, they're all entangled and crossed, and everybody's like trying to attack the other person. But it seems like to me, even though the 6 of Wands is a progressive card from the 5, it seems like the victory in this card is that somebody got out of a chaotic space just in time, or at least right before something broke out. You know, like they're above the fray here before it starts to get messy. And it seems like there really is no warning sign for this escalation. You know, like 1 minute it's you know, just a chill vibe, and the next minute all hell breaks loose. So I don't know. You know, that could be very specific in terms of, you know, what you may have going on, whether it be this actual weekend, some festivities pending, or just over the holidays in general, even considering deeply what you host at your own home and who you invite and so on and so forth. You know, there's something here about that, you know, about there being high levels of tension in some people right now that can be explosive. Yeah. So, I mean, and as I said, there's really no way to truly prepare for that, other than to just like kind of stay clear. But if you don't really have that option, or you don't choose that option, just be mindful of the temperature in a room or in an environment, and knowing when to kind of get up out of there when you feel like you need to. Don't stick around to you know, be nosy or watch the show, because I don't know, something about this going from the 4 to 5 to the 6, it's a fast progression of something that could be dangerous. And the Queen of Wands, fiery as she may be, who don't mind, you know, don't mind like a little action. It's like if you are someone, and I mean, who doesn't to some degree at least want to spectate, but I just don't get the sense that that's a good idea in this case. It's probably best to kind of get up out of there. Now, how else can I see this? Because this could be competition over a partnership. Yeah, especially with the Queen of Wands, this very attractive force here. And I don't know, it could be someone that has multiple people, like almost like fighting for their attention. Okay, that's another way to see it. That there are, because this is like, sometimes I see this as like a DICK measuring contest here. Like everybody is kind of trying to prove themselves to their peers to be the better man for whatever. It could even be for an opportunity. It doesn't have to be for a partnership, but there's something highly attractive here that is provoking a lot of passion. I would even say bravado, you know, in this sense, not even just pure passion. It's something, it's provoking ego as well, and pride. Because everyone here in this 5 of Wands, as I said about the competition factor, pretty much wants to end up in the 6 of Wands position as the victor, the one that's head and shoulders above the rest, the one that's beat out the competition. But yeah, as it sees, oh, this is definitely like a tortoise. I also see like a tortoise and hare type of thing. So here it is, this Knight of Pentacles that's coming in slow, right? While all these other people are fast and, you know, and furious and trying to fight each other, it's like this knight transports himself somehow past the competition, because the competition is distracted with their own, you know, their own reindeer game, too distracted with their own reindeer games to kind of see that they've all lost. You know, and meanwhile the Six of Wands is just carrying on. So it could, and somehow accelerated as well. Why? Because the Knight of Pentacles is more dedicated to being productive, not necessarily being competitive or even prideful. This energy is one that will take its time to get. It's not on anybody else's time. It's the slowest moving knight in the deck. And what it really focuses on is productivity and effectiveness, you know, like cultivating the best offer possible here, especially if it's going into this Four of Wands, which is something of an achieve, you know, a accomplishment, or something that is worth, that's highly valued to achieve, whatever it is, you know, just kind of like a finish line type of situation here with the Four of Wands. But whatever it is, he sees the potential to work toward within himself first and foremost, or whatever he sees great potential or great inspiration to work towards from him, through himself and from the inside out, ultimately becomes the greatest achievement. So it's like the work that's cultivated in that becoming holds the highest value, not so much, you know, the finish line itself, particularly in time, in the aspect of time, because he's going to take his time until he feels like he's done what he set out to do or accomplished what he set out to accomplish. So again, it's not necessarily about a destination. It's something about not a destination. It's more so about a designation. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm gonna leave it there so I can move on. Okay, let's see what else we got. But because of that diligence and determination, again, is why I'm seeing it now as the Knight of Pentacles, maybe almost like jumping timelines, or certainly advancing to a point of completion or achievement that is coveted here in the Five of Wands, but not captured because of the contempt. Because the dedication and determination is what ultimately gains the reward and recognition here at the Six of Wands. If we are in fact talking about this progression of a Knight of Pentacles, an advancement of a Knight of Pentacles. And that's what it kind of looks like. Something that was slow, steady, and then suddenly accelerated or advanced. Let's see. A lot of wand energy though, like my goodness. Passion, action, maybe some frustration here, definitely. Ambition, drive, creativity, enthusiasm, confidence, pride, ego. It's like a mixed bag of a whole lot of things, but it's intense is what it is. Even in the peaceful state here with the Four of Wands, there's still the implication that there was an intensity that was overcome, you know, more or less to get to this achievement. Because this is the settling point at the Four of Wands. Like, we made it, we're safe, we're here, we're secure, we've accomplished our goal, yay, we did it, but there's definitely, there has to be a precursor for a celebration such as this. So anyway, I don't know what we're talking about, but I just feel the need to say that there's something intense about the energy. The only calm thing actually is the Knight of Pentacles. Grounded. Maybe that's why he was taking his time, because he's like, ugh, am I considering if he even has the energy for all of this intensity? Pentacles more or less like to keep 2 feet on the ground, keep their head on straight. But this is a lot. Oh, okay. Okay. So we got the 10 of Cups. I'm going to switch these. I know I am, so I don't even know why I did that. I felt it when I saw what it was. We got the Magician, because it definitely falls in line with what I said about the intentions to build, to grow, to advance, to create, to cultivate even through over time. And then we got the 10 of Cups, which is another, I would say an even more amplified expression of the Four of Wands. It's like on another level of happiness and harmony, balance, achievement, family, some fulfillment on an emotional level here. So it's a little bit subdued and cooled down in an energetic sense, because we got the Cups and not the Wands, but it's still, quite robust in its suit, because it's the 10, it's the completion. It's like fulfilled, as grand as it can possibly be as far as the 10 of Cups are concerned. Well, as far as the Cups are concerned. So it's like this union breaching a milestone and settlement and what do you call it? Harmony, and then that being amplified or magnified by way of the 10 of Cups, now growing into a dynasty or a legacy of sorts, like not just 2 people, but now a family, and now an extension of that family, or even if this is an establishment, or some collaborative association or collective of individuals. Now it's grown to like a soul tribe, or you know, I don't know, like a creative collective of manifestors or builders, and maybe entrepreneurs or whatever, like all the practical things. But what is this really talking about here? Somebody going in, coming out strong, advancing yet again. And being extremely fulfilled. It's like somebody has really left something behind them. Back to my original thought, it could even be someone that came from a bit of a chaotic background. Like at home, everything kind of looked put together, or, you know, more or less there was a facade of everything. Everything is fine, you know, but behind closed doors, like I said originally, there were some disturbances, or some, you know, like some dysfunctions, let's say. And someone made a strong decision to pivot away from that space and place, which is hard to do, especially if it's a place called home with the Four of Wands and it's familiar, you know. But someone here, it's like they made it out, you know what I mean? And it wasn't an easy decision. It may have taken them a long time, you know, to come to that conclusion, you know, from maybe investing in this ideal of what family, here it is, what family is supposed to be because of your relational connections, or your associations, your familiarity, your comforts, all of that good stuff, your conditioning. And someone was could have been investing a lot of time, or enough time and energy, into this ideal of family and what that could be, before they ultimately kind of gave themselves permission to release themselves from this dynamic and relieve themselves all at the same time of the responsibility, the accountability that they may have taken on for it, like somebody almost feeling like responsible for keeping family together, or maybe keeping a household together, almost feeling like, well, if I leave and things will really fall apart, or, you know, or feeling some type of obligation to a structure that ultimately is not very functional, you know, at least not for this particular person's sake. So they see themselves out, and they become empowered to do what? Create, here's the advancement, the ideal family situation that is truly fulfilling. Because it's like this person could only be but so successful in the dynamics that they had to work with, even putting their best foot forward. Like I was saying with the Knight of Pentacles, they're dedicated, they're determined, like they'll put the work in, they'll roll their sleeves up. It's not, it's not a matter of time for them. They'll take their time. They'll be all in, you know, until they realize this ideal, and mostly from their own point of view and perspective, they're cultivating that idea through themselves. What did I say? Designation. I'm gonna have to see what that really means. If that has any different meanings that really makes sense as to why I said that. But you know, it seems like I was saying earlier, like somebody left the party just in time, or in time enough not to get caught up into this entanglement and feel further obligated to kind of clean up the mess or pick up the pieces. Or maybe somebody left behind the fighting and decided, you know, this is no longer my responsibility. Either way, it's a strong posture, you know, a strong point of action that has empowered someone. And as I said, to now really create that ideal that they visualize for themselves, that they desire to have, with greater potential here than what they were trying to maybe force to fit the mold, or force themselves to fit within the mold of. Now they have free creative range here, and to invest into something that actually has the potential and even the probability to be rewarding. Okay, got it, like it. Wow, and the star card, this is the wish fulfillment. Yes, like somebody tried to force their wish for a happy life, happy home to be. They tried to, like, you know, mold it and shape it in the ways that would be satisfying to them. But it was like, it seems like it was just, you know, an exhausting effort, to say the least, because if the Five of Wands is what you're working with, you would have to have willing participants, you know, in that ideal, and it just doesn't seem like these are not willing participants. Like, they're too busy with their own agendas, you know, trying to exert power over one another, or wield power over one another, or control to get their point across, to, you know, to get the win or whatever. Like, there's just too much friction and resistance here for there to be harmony, fluidity, balance, peace. So it's like that's all someone really may desire to have for themselves, and also in whatever environment or whatever you know, establishment or circumstance they connect themselves to. Like, this is what they wish to have, you know, peace of mind, contentment, agreement, you know, happiness, dare I say, with the Ten of Cups, like just sheer happiness and satisfaction. And it looks like they are going to get it. I mean, the Knight of Pentacles, as I said, and all those great things, if you're diligent to make it happen in places that there was never any hope for, really, then to finally take your that show on the road and transfer that ambition to something that actually is agreeable, you're probably going to have what you want. And it probably, where it may have been a struggle before, this is like easeful. This is easeful. The Magician, effortless. It's not really hard to have your heart's desire when you're aligned in the right places and spaces and with the right people to have it be so, you know. All that wand energy is like a whole bunch of doing, a whole bunch of activity, but the being is in the energy here, that star power and the cup energy emotionally, and even the Magician, which can more or less integrate all of the elements or any element on command that, you know, is necessary to get to have an out to forge a certain outcome. But when it's only wands, you know, like all you have to work with is wands, and there is no flexibility here, you know, that could be a great challenge, a great challenge. And it seems like someone may have, that's the acceleration part, where someone could have resolved it to be like a loss or a defeat. They actually gained the win by more or less kind of like maybe transferring their efforts, you know, figuring out that working hard doesn't necessarily equal proficiency or productivity. You know, when it's something that's really hard to do or hard to keep up with, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's working well, you know what I mean? Or it has great potential, or there is any profitability on the other side of that. It just really could be more or less an impossibility that you have the choice to either relent to that reality or to keep kind of like, you know, beating your head up against the brick wall or trying to force your way through or to some end result that you may never find. So where it could be a loss for those that are in this energy of the Five of Wands, just kind of headstrong and insistent on having it their way, this is someone that realizes that there are other ways to have your desires that are more of a success and a win overall than what may be forfeited here, if forfeit is even the term. You know, forfeit certainly in a more faithful energy than one of failure, if that makes sense. Like, I know that there's more. I know I can have what I desire. I know I can be what I desire. I have the potential and the qualities to be all that I desire. It's just not here, or it's just not with these people, or it's just not in this place, and that is okay. Where some may feel defeated and crushed by that resistance, others recognize the opportunity for advancement beyond it. So let's see what else we got. Okay, it's kind of like on my I don't really call that upside down to how it fell, because it was like this on my foot. So I mean, I guess it's upright, and it's the Knight of Wands, Mr. Ambition himself. Blind ambition at times, that's usually not willing to take no for an answer. And in this case, his sights are set on this Ten of Cups territory. Like, that's his objective, which, you know, is a pretty good one to have, as long as there is also a sense of commitment to not just seizing this opportunity, whatever it is, but also nurturing it, you know, protecting it, cultivating the soil here. Because it's one thing to see like a great opportunity and want to take advantage of it, or at least want to, want to experience it and have it for yourself. But I actually don't like the energy of taking advantage, because that's what you don't want to do, like not in a low vibration anyway, where you just kind of exploit it or get all that you can out of it and off you go. So hopefully, let's see what's on the bottom. Oh man, the ten of Swords, but that is an ending as well, and that could even be the end of somebody self-sabotaging their ambitions for happiness. That's what it is. On account of all the many times that they've been betrayed or disappointed in the past, it could be someone that really is willing to kind of bring closure to those traumas for once and for all, and again reroute their ambitions toward true fulfillment, a completion on the higher frequency. This is the lower one, and this could be all that somebody knows, or what they're most familiar with, which again lends yet another round of applause to anyone that comes out of an unfavorable experience or season of sorts as this, and is still eager to explore emotional availability and vulnerability, and see what they can make of it, and what perhaps it can make of them. Yeah, with the Magician card here, this is someone that is eager to be transformed in happiness, maybe even in love, certainly in some type of emotional fulfillment. I hate to keep saying that word, but that's really what it is, especially once we see the Star card. It's like somebody that is no longer willing to be shaped, no longer willing for their ambitions and their passions to be shaped by their disappointments and maybe even their losses. That's why it's the Knight, because it's like a fresh perspective on actually, like, the idea of actually achieving happiness. It almost seems like foreign territory to chart, but it also is exciting to explore as well. But again, let's see what's on the other side here. But definitely, it could really just be that the Knight is here because it's somebody, again, that's just kind of foreign to this. They're new to this experience, and this land of love and bliss is foreign territory. But if it wasn't for the Magician here, which usually is a more seasoned energy, I would be skeptical, not gonna lie, like thoughtful, like, what you coming to do over here? Pillage and destroy the natives, or are you coming to build and sow and and create? But it really could just be a matter of someone's an experience in a space such as this, and this being like a pure, I wouldn't say pure, more so raw excitement and enthusiasm to inhabit it. It's just, I would say in this case, it's like, I think it matters to kind of be mindful of, like, maybe taking your time to get settled and get acquainted, to readjust your senses, to be reconditioned, to find your footing and your grounding all over again in something that's new. Otherwise, it could invoke like a fight or flight type of sensibility, more so the flight aspect, where it could feel so good, and so foreign that it could, I don't know why I'm saying this because there's no necessarily evidence for this, but this is what I feel guided to say, that this energy could feel so good to someone that's not used to that much sensation, as indulgent as the Knight of Wands can be, that they could ultimately feel provoked to resist it. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, it's too good to be true type of energy. They feel like they kind of gotta get up out of there or escape before something ruins it, or there's a potential to lose it, and then resort back to some level of disappointment that they probably are used to in the worst and best case scenario of their past, you know. So I would say, if you are someone that can relate to that, allow yourself to get comfortable with the new normal of satisfaction without at least give space and opportunity for disappointment to arise before you begin to become paranoid about it, because this is an indication that those days are over with the Ten of Swords. The worst is behind you. So if anything were to kind of like trigger you to feel like you gotta become defensive all of a sudden, or maybe even get up and go, I think it would be important to kind of bear down and ground yourself in the allowance of that saturation of satisfaction, because it's just that your body's not used to it, your mind's not used to it, your soul needs to get reacquainted with it. It's like it probably is like it probably would feel like an overstimulation to some degree that could make you feel like anxious or eager, because it feels so good that you're like, "Who is this? All right." And then it also feels so good that you start to panic about the possibility of somehow it being taken away, and the sheer thought of that barrenness on account of something that is so good can sometimes incite a fear that really is unfounded, especially in this new season. Like, if you've reached a point of satisfaction and pure happiness and wish fulfillment of the substance of things that you have hoped for and maybe dreamed of, fantasized about, prayed for, even planned for, it's yours for the taking and for the keeping, for as long as you allow it to be. Like, there's no one that can come and snatch it away, and there's even it's really foolproof for you to really fuck it up, except for you telling yourself that you will or are, so if you can relate to that, just be still and let yourself feel. If you may be on the other side of someone that has the potential to be all of that and has, those tendencies, be patient, so yeah. Don't get a fight or flight instinct and be like, well, you know what, if you don't want to be here, or if you scared, and say you scared. Just be patient, stay open, because I feel like for these new expressions of love and commitment and partnership and relationships and union, it's fresh for everybody. Even if you're already in a partnership that seems like it's evolving, it's a new territory that no one has really navigated before. You know, the space of vulnerability and total security and sensational satisfaction, there being nothing to really fear or no threat impending. You know, there's probably going to take some time for those, you know, for these 10 of swords type energies to really completely filter out of our force field, out of our muscle memory, out of our minds, to the point where we are completely acclimated into a new normal. That, I don't believe that's something that could happen overnight for anyone, you know, no matter how ascended you may be. So just be patient and be open. Don't be no fool now. You know, the handwriting's on the wall, and if someone is not willing to be patient or not willing to be vulnerable and be present, that's the word I like. Be present and be patient. So for the one that has the, you know, the tendencies to get antsy, just get present, be present in the moment and enjoy it. And on the other side, be patient. And if someone's not willing to be present or they no longer want to be present, then there's nothing to do but release them, you know, with no love lost, hopefully, for your sake and for theirs. And for anyone that doesn't want to be patient, then, you know, it kind of is their loss if you choose to release yourself and follow your impulses. Of course, minus any type of, you know, abuse or mismanagement or, you know, anything like that. But there's a dance on both sides that's happening here, regardless of what the nature of the partnership may be. And that probably is the achievement and the accomplishment, just having that understanding alone, that will then be the segue to this blissful experience where all parties are on the same page eventually. You know, like everybody's having a good time here. We're all settled. We're not going anywhere unless we're going together, you know, more or less. Like, you know, not in the weird shit, but you know what I mean. Like, everything's good. Nobody's tripping. Nobody's anxious. Nobody's eager. We're just all present. That's beautiful. I love that. And ultimately, you realize that it's everything that you manifested for yourself, plus more, so much more. Because I don't think, even with our most vivid imagination, most of us are creative enough to conceptualize what the divine has in store for pure love, for you know, for sacred unions. There's no way. So imagine your wildest dreams being intensified, amplified times 1,000, maybe times infinity. That could take some adjusting, some getting used to. So some like pinch myself, is this real type of moment. So, you know, just be open to that. I said be open. Oh God, this is indifference here with the Two of Swords. Like, I don't know about this. That's so funny. Let's see here. All right, well, we had the Knight of Wands that's running back to the Ten of Cups. Then we got the Two of Swords. This is so off, though. Like, this doesn't even make any sense to me. It doesn't. Unless it is what I'm saying in a higher frequency about patience on, I mean, indifference kind of like being an inflection of patience where you are not forcing an issue one way or another and whatever potential or prospect this may be, but you're also not resisting it. You know, you're, even though she's not open posture, there is kind of like an open-mindedness to some degree for the things that you really just can't control, or you don't have any way to foresee or foretell per se. And you, again, you can't force a thing, you can't force an outcome, and you can't certify one either because you don't know what it may be. So you kind of have to be in this place of indifference where you're not for it. Well, you may be very much for it, but you also may not be against it. You know, you're not against it either, for sure. You know, if that makes any sense. That's the only way I can really draw on this energy. What's on the bottom? Yeah, with the World card, ending the previous cycles, maybe of, you know, that feeling of here's the fight or flight, and here is the, if in that case, could be the lack of patience or the resistance to decide. But I feel like this is more so about what is evolving on account of a closed cycle than necessarily what's being ended, even though it is, of course, the World card is about endings. But on the other side of that, cyclically, obviously, is the new beginning, which is more prominent of the energy here than it is what's being left behind. That really doesn't even matter so much. And maybe that's what this is. It's like kind of like closing off the part of your ideals that were attached to, like, kind of like, you know, bringing closure to old world mentalities where in past seasons it may not make sense to be patient with someone that is finding their presence. You know, it may not make sense to be present with someone that is so indifferent, you know, or is so patient in a sense, you know, because sometimes if you're kind of used to toxic situations or traumatic situations, you're all of this wand energy, you may be used to like an over expression of passion that, as I said, like just because it's hyperactive doesn't mean that it's productive. So that's what that meant, where you could have a lot of energy being exerted and expressed, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's working toward anything good. So in the previous season, you could have been in a partnership where somebody was just like clawing at you and like, where are you going? Well, when you coming home? What you doing? And like, you know, overly expressive about their, I would say, like possessiveness, you know, or let's call it passion, but we know where that line, where that, you know, that thin line veers into. And in some ways that yields a certain level of comfort because there is, you know, there's not much to be, there's not much left to be interpreted, you know, when somebody is like on you 24/7, like where you at, what you doing, calling you every 5 minutes, you know, that type of stuff. So for someone to now be in something a bit more balanced and harmonious where they might not be getting a call every 5 minutes, or somebody might not be so inquisitive of their whereabouts or their ETA and when we going out and this and that. Like, it's just a different thing. That could be something that is triggering in a certain way, to almost like maybe trigger insecurities as to whether or not there is synergy here, because the way it was expressed before, although a little bit unhealthy, at least was very direct, okay? And then on the other side of that, for someone that is maybe someone that is not used to the adverse of all the other stuff that I said, and kind of maybe even within themselves being comfortable just allowing things to unfold as they will, as long as there's no harm, no foul, there's nothing, disrespectful going on, nothing, unreasonable or abusive happening. It might even be foreign to someone in their own personal experience, to be so resolved in their patience and their openness, whereas before they may have been more eager to just cut stuff off or say, nope, not gonna deal with it, again, fight or flight type of energy, and they're just not in that space anymore. So that's what it is. There's something just different about relational expressions that it's coming around, if it's not happening already. And not to say that some people aren't already operating in that frequency, because they very well may be, but I'm expressing it this way because I feel like everyone's getting an upgrade, if you're in the market for it, of course, in some way, shape, or form, where you're experiencing yourself differently in emotional and perhaps even romantic exchanges and expressions, and you're experiencing those experiences differently than you have in the past. And as amazing as it can feel in one regard, it could also be a little bit triggering as well. But I feel like for the most part, if you can kind of get through the trigger points again and almost command yourself, your consciousness, to be present with what you're actually feeling and experiencing versus what may be projective or the past, or even paranoia, you know what I mean? And I feel like everything will balance out, no matter what side of the game you're on, it'll balance out. And it'll be, again, yet another prosperous moment, because this is also one of those like achievement type of cards as well, where you've closed something out, like who you were before, you are not that person anymore. And you're about to see that, and what you have attracted unto yourself for as an experience, romantically or otherwise, is very different as well. And you're about to see that, and it might be astounding because it's the actual evidence now of who you have ultimately been evolving to be, probably under your own nose, so now to have that mirror reflection of the results, almost, again, this like portal, or what I say, like quantum leap of advancement, that was happening probably quite gradually, but you couldn't really see it for what it was as you're experiencing it. Now is going to be right in front of your face. And I think that's the part of it that's going to be kind of like a stunner. Like, whoa, this is who I am now. This is how I do love. This is how I do intimacy. This is how I, like, it's like, wow, this is what I want in relationships. This is the type of partner I have, and I'm safe here. I'm secure here. I like myself this way. like it's going to be like a new awakening in some way. But your senses and internal self has already been awakened. But it's like now taking like a first look in the mirror after an extreme makeover. Something like that here. Yeah, this is interesting. All right, let me get a couple more just because I already turned over the world card, but I probably should have left it there because I'm definitely way over time. Here's the King of Cups. There's that love action, that proactive love action. What's the King of Cups with? Let's see. That's an empowered force in love right there, a masterful one. I got 3. Oh, 2. So we got the Moon card, some mysterium here. And then we got the 6 of Cups, which is about the past. So yeah, definitely could be, becoming masterful over the illusions and or delusions that were incited from the past. That's what I'm getting, like kind of getting ahead of that experience for yourself, like maybe uncovering some of the mysteries, of the undercurrent of your emotional prowess, if that makes sense. Like what makes you tick, what has ultimately been the substance of who you are in love, how you love, and what your expectations or even magneticisms are in that regard. It always comes from a childhood space, from those vulnerable experiences, that over time, over maturation, could have ultimately amounted up, into that 10 of Swords culmination of sorts, where it doesn't necessarily have to be violent or abusive, but we've all had some trial or tribulation, even of our own personal infliction of some sort or another, that has shaped our ideals about love and about intimacy, even our fears about it, which is also what the Moon card could represent. But it's the King of Cups who knows how to navigate the depths of their psyche, their emotions. They may not always know exactly how to express it, but they do know how to navigate it. They know how to get to the bottom of it. And perhaps, again, throughout that process of patience and presence is where there can be a space cultivated for secure expression and release, you know what I mean, and understanding, because the understanding is there with the King of Cups usually, but the safety and security for vulnerability and willingness to share sometimes, comes with time. Again, patience and presence. So, but at least, all things that have been said, especially on account of the intention to explore new territory, there is the capacity and the facility to do so, the faculties to do so here with the King of Cups. If there is anybody that can get deep, it would be him. Now, how deep you want to go is the question, and how deep they feel comfortable allowing themselves to go within a partnership is the mystery itself. You know, it's the thing, as I said before, that you can't really pinpoint and you can't control, because everybody has their own free will, but you can only be accountable for the the openness that you create, the availability, that you commit to personally, that would ultimately create that space of security, of which someone either has no excuse or every excuse to fully engage themselves with. And ultimately, that is what yields the success factor or the success rate of the partnership, from it being something that is progressive, and balanced and harmonious and fulfilling, as it's implied here, or if it's something that's regressive, which could be the case here, and ultimately one or the other or both, don't have the desire to forge beyond their past experiences, but ultimately regress into recycling past ones. That's what this energy is giving here. But I just don't think that's the ending here. That's just, food for thought and an open consideration, just to kind of call out the elephant in the room, because generally that's kind of the anxiety that is that surrounds new partnerships. And I think especially partnerships that are showing up in the pure way that they are now, where there's everything's on the table, you know what I mean? And there's nowhere to hide. And if you try to, you won't really see a successful connection. And then, like I said, it'll be just as good as recreating the cycles of trauma that you're already used to, and nobody really wants to do that when you've done so much work to advance yourself and enhance, your quality of life and your expectation of it, So I feel like it's just about really mastering your emotional self. Again, those impulses and those triggers that may want to regress you back to a state of dependency or complacency or regret or fear, or, some, I would say, more or less false sense of security, for something that is just new. It's just fresh. You have the capacity to navigate it as the King of Cups, and whatever energy we're talking about here. It's just having the willingness, the patience, and the presence to fully submit yourself to the experience. Oh, come on, not the Four of Swords. Well, that's the submission here from the Five of Cups. That's depression. Yeah, but here's the truth, so it's submitting yourself to the truth of the matter, what being present, the five of cups is regret, remorse, feeling of loss, and again, depression, all the densities in life that really don't purely project what is present at a moment. Usually it's past reflective. It's more past reflective when it comes to the Five of Cups, and or projective of the future that didn't even occur yet, but more so about the past, more so about things that can't be changed, that have occurred long ago or before this moment, that maybe you wished you had done differently, or you had the potential to do something differently and you didn't. But at this point, it's like, what are you going to do? There is absolutely no space. I really feel like it's quite projective for this energy to come up, because again, like just like the Two of Swords, it's just kind of random. Like, what are you sad about? Your past life, your past experience, like past traumas, like you got, as the King of Cups, you have the power to transmute that emotional density and get to the truth of the matter, so that it's something that is actually empowering and forwarding, to actually turn around and see that you have so much more promise ahead of you than what's left behind, certainly of which you can't change. So again, the Four of Swords is like a surrender or a submission to reality, like resting on the sword of truth here under the sword of the Ace of Swords here is like you just rest in where you are presently and accept it. Acceptance and allowance is the key. So, that's the point that everyone ultimately gets to come to it. You don't have to, for sure, but it's certainly far more productive resonance than to fight against the things that are no longer, no longer changeable, if that's even a word. Can never quite get it down without completely disrupting the whole situation, can I? But yeah, so anyway, it's like, it's like all this, it's giving a little bit of a emotional and energetic tug of war here, because it's only because there's so competition, Five of Wands, because there's so much promise on the horizon that's not even all that far in the distant future. It's like already here. It's about the realization and acceptance of it. But it's like before you cross that threshold, so many emotions and past thoughts and people and everything that can try to grab onto your coattail and hold on for dear life will try to do so, even if it's just energetically at this time, just sheerly on the strength that they don't want to see you go. It doesn't want to see you go. There are certain energies that want to keep you confined and held back for as long as they and it possibly can. But, it's up to you to be released. It's certainly not in anybody else's hands anymore unless you say so. And that's about the past. Experiences, that's about people, even in the present tense. Is really about what matters most. Are you mourning the past of what you cannot change as we began this message? Or are you going to allow yourself to fully embrace the present and the projection of a future of which your heart truly, truly desires? Is really a matter of that degree of sacrifice and submission. Well, the disparity between sacrifice, and in this case, sacrificing yourself and your true desires for complacency or submission to the unknown. But the perhaps quite possibly and probably very fulfilling, so I guess that choice is up to everyone individually. So good luck and Godspeed in that process. Yeah. And of course, you know, it's great to be empowered to have a choice. So if there's any baseline to affirm your confidence in, that's probably a good place to start. That you always have a choice, and you are authorized and empowered to make one. You know, that's your God-given right. And the rest is history. All right. So anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.